Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Lisa, and to the organizers of Lead Today, Shape Tomorrow, organizers. Oh my God, I have total respect because I know, I know how it is to organize an event. So thank you so much for giving me the honor to do the event. I'm very excited about today's topic, which is the future is equal. We have been talking for several years now on women equality. And I think it's very important to have a conversation around the workplace, especially on women leadership, innovation, and just how to more or less make the future of workplace a place that the younger generations definitely can get inspiration from. My first speaker, actually, I would introduce all of them, and I would like them to introduce themselves after I say their names. So on my panel, I have Isabelle Kristine Ringnes. She is the CEO of Quality Check. I have Nadia Fischer from Witty Works, Lena-Sophie Müller from D21, and Frederike Probert from Mission Female. So I would first of all like to ask Isabelle Kristine Ringnes to introduce herself for 30 seconds to a minute, because we have 35 minutes and would like the conversation to go on. Thank you so much, Isabelle. Can you introduce yourself?
Thank you so much, Bibusa. My name is Isabelle, as you mentioned. I am the co-founder and chief evangelist of Equality Check. We've been working with gender equality specifically since 2015 through various digital campaigns. We were working with it outside of our jobs. We really wanted to address unconscious bias and gender stereotypes, which we know all are deeply ingrained in society. And after having addressed the cause through digital campaigns for a few years, we finally decided in 2018 that we wanted to go from inspiring people and trying to create awareness to actually creating results through action. And that's how Equality Check was born, which it's a platform for anonymous reviews about how people experience the diversity and the culture at their workplace. And then hopefully we'll create more transparency about these issues and then be able to accelerate the issue. So that's me in very short, and I'm conscious of my time because I want everyone to be able to speak.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We have next Nadia Fischer. Nadia, could you kindly also 30 seconds to 1 minute introduce yourself? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Happy to be here. Hello, everybody. So Nadia Fischer, I'm a founder and CEO of Witty Works. We developed a tool called Diversifier, which is a B2B software as a service in Comtech. We actually help companies to uncover unconscious bias in language that they use in their communication and help them with that also to find their inclusive language in order to become more diverse. Right, that's what we do, all short.
Thank you so much. Could I now have Ms. Lena-Sophie Müller to introduce herself, please?
Yes, my pleasure to be here. Greetings from Berlin. My name is Lena-Sophie Müller. I'm the general manager of Initiative D21, which is a non-profit organization, and we are a partnership of politics and entrepreneurs. And what we're trying to do is to make everybody in Germany profit from digitalization, no matter what age, what gender, or your social status. I think everybody can profit from digitalization, but we need to shape the digital society. So that's our mission, and we do studies, surveys. We try to provide data how the society actually picks up the digital opportunities and what are the barriers, and then we try to tackle those barriers and make the world a little bit better. And we do that by working together with politicians, with other nonprofit organizations, because I always learn so much from others. That's why I'm also so happy to be here, and I learned so much from female founders. Yeah, so that's basically what we do, and I'm very happy to be here and discuss the barriers, especially women face in the digital world.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, I'm already excited because my brain is going. I'm like, I have something to have a discussion with them after this event. This is crazy. Could I have Frederike Probert? I hope I pronounced that. I think that's a German name. Frederike, could you kindly introduce yourself, please? 30 seconds to a minute, please.
30 seconds is really a challenge. I have to speak really fast if I have to.
A minute.
It's one of my strengths.
Into everything during the conversation, so don't worry.
Hi everyone from Hamburg in Germany. My name is Frederike Probert. I'm the CEO and founder of Mission Female. I do have a track record of about 20 years in the digital tech industry in big American corporates, but also startups. I also founded my own companies in that area. And because the digital industry is very male dominated still, I decided to found Mission Female, and we are a female executive network. We work on eyesight level. We enable exchange among leaders in the German market, but also in Austria and Switzerland. We enable personal development for our women, and we make sure that they're all visible with the great stuff they do every day. And we also run what we call We Believe initiatives, where we, in this case, actively support female founders in the tech and innovation area. And I'm happy to announce that we are also an official partner of Female Founders.
Very nice. Very, 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 very good. Hi, everybody. I'm Bibusa, Wißemann, your moderator again. Just resetting, the whole conversation. We're talking about the future is equal. A little bit about myself. I hope in 30 seconds I can explain. I'm the founder and CEO of SensXAfrica. We are a global initiative working with entrepreneurs around the globe, specifically Africa, connecting them to other entrepreneurs. Our aim is that our entrepreneurs in Africa can learn from other successful entrepreneurs, because in Africa, the conditions of scaling up your business is different from the European startups because of resources. So this conversation for me is quite important, because one of the aspects we have in our fellowship is every member needs to have at least one woman in their organization, because for us in Africa, we say when you employ a woman, you employ the whole family, meaning you're feeding a nation because of the responsibilities that go on. So I would jump on to the first questions, and I would ask Isabelle to jump on it, and then Nadia, Lena, and Frederike. So the question is, while the challenge that present and the future of work poses to women is much broader than just roles, how can we create a new momentum to accelerate gender parity through a future readiness lens? So Isabelle, please take the floor on that question.
Thank you so much. I'm actually not entirely sure if I understood what the question was asking. So if I'm completely off, then let me know. What I find is really important for the future now is to keep the momentum up. What I've seen and I'm from Oslo, that should be mentioned, but what I've seen throughout the pandemic is that something that was very important before the pandemic, which was diversity and equality, and I truly see that what was a buzzword 2 years ago is now pretty much accepted as a business imperative in most places. So equality is kind of turned into what climate was in 2015. It's now something that people are focusing on and demanding in a much larger scale. However, I am afraid that Corona and the pandemic has shifted us backwards in time. And that I've seen throughout many different organizations that we work with, that they've been so focused on surviving, they've been so focused on their business that they've forgot their most important asset, which is human capital. And they haven't really focused on these issues, which are so important as much as they maybe should be doing. So what I think is really important for the future is to keep the momentum up. And in that, I'm a little bit biased in answering also that in order to keep that momentum up, we need to have transparency on what's actually going on in the workplace, demanding companies to release their numbers, to not use vanity metrics. We want to know exactly how many or what the diversity and what the makeup is on the top of these companies, because very often companies are gender balanced. But if you look at the different kinds of roles that women and men hold, they're very, very different in terms of support or line roles. And we all know that line roles are the ones that get you to the top. And that's where you truly see the imbalance. So being transparent about that, and in transparency lies data. And having data, and then following that data over time and setting very clear KPIs as to where we want to get, and making sure that companies are actually following these KPIs and keeping them accountable. And then, of course, I mean, in terms of creating a new momentum and accelerating gender parity through a future-ready lens, I've been working with getting women into technology for many years through a network called TENK, which is in Norwegian, the Technology Network for Women. And basically, I think this is one of the most important things, is getting more women into technology. It's going to be everything in the future. It's going to be the backbone of every business. It's going to set all the different strategies. It's going to decide what our future looks like. And right now, there is way too little diversity. There is such a homogenized group of people deciding what our future is going to look like. And I truly believe it's so incredibly important to get more and a broader set of different people into this industry as soon as possible. So that's kind of a little bit from me. I'm going to let someone else continue responding, because maybe you understood the question.
I totally understand exactly what you said on transparency, on buzzword. And I think, you know, what the future holds. I think we do have a synopsis of how it's going to be. Look at us. We're now in the COVID pandemic. We're now subjected to home office, to using technology, right? And so we have a little bit glimpse of, okay, the future is coming, and we really need to change the narrative of women in technology. I love that. I love what you said. I'm gonna ask actually Nadia to answer the question. So I will say the question again, Nadia, in case you.
No, that's okay. I got it.
Could you give us like your perception on what you think we can accelerate the momentum of, you know, women's future?
Mm-hmm. I think actually there were some very positive developments lately, at least in Germany and in Switzerland. Legislation came about that in the boards and in the management levels, there had to be more women. So it's now finally in the laws. And I think, you know, at least Switzerland is very, very conservative. So, and for us, this was kind of, finally it's possible to, you know, to write this into laws. Also, I think the pandemic for me has a very good side. Suddenly, it is accepted by companies that you can work from home. And that before was like, at least in Swiss companies, it was unthinkable. There was still a very strong idea of I have to kind of see when people are working in front of me in my office. And suddenly the pandemic has made it possible, you know, and has shown that it works. And I think this also opens up for much more flexible working conditions than what we have seen so far. And I truly, truly hope that it's not just going to go back to where we were before, but that kind of flexibility is held up. At least from some big corporates I hear, I think it was Roche who said they will assure that in the future also 50% of the time you can work from home. And I mean, that is just like a revolution coming with the pandemic that I think will definitely pay into diversity a lot. Because women, but also other people from underrepresented groups need this flexibility, right? Yeah. Where I still would like to see much more pushing, and I mean, it's close to what Isabelle said already, is that the companies really need to stop with their marketing messages about diversity and get going. They really need to finally take concrete measures. And I think it's quite horrible if you see sometimes on social media some remarks from people who, you know, from men, sorry to say that, but are quite toxic messages. And then nobody really reacts against them in a way that, you know, you would actually expect from the company itself to say, hey, this just doesn't work anymore, right? And that's where I would like to see companies to get much more concrete in the recruitment process, in their language, to make sure that diversity is really going to happen. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much. I think we do need to understand there are still some men and women who are very conservative in involving other women into the business setup of environment. And I'm happy that we have such events where we are now saying, listen, we know that when women work together, so much can be accomplished. We know that when more women are included in the conversation of management positions, so much can be achieved. And I'm so happy that now, 10 years ago, it was a different conversation. I don't even think or could imagine actually that we could have, now conversations of, you know what, the future is actually women, and women need to take the role of moving everything forward. I'm gonna ask the next question to Nadia, to Lena-Sophie Müller. So the next question for Lena is, what action should we take for the benefit of companies by ensuring they attract and retain the best talent and build a highly skilled, innovative workplace position for future success? Lena, could you please take the floor?
Yeah, thank you. I think I can perfectly build on what was just being said. So Isabelle, for example, said we need more data. And I think that's totally true, because we talked about roles, but roles come from structure. And if we make transparent where we have deficits and barriers in structure, we can tackle roles. So, and once we have the data and we know where we have barriers, I think we should set specific goals and make people responsible. And also maybe one thing is, if a company does not publish the data, they should just get a 0. You know, they should just be like, it doesn't matter if you say, oh, we do some programs, they should get a 0, I think. Yeah. And another thing is then, and Nadia just also picked up on that topic, is we need to have a look at culture. So diversity and right. And one thing that I learned actually from the Albright Association here in Germany, is we need to be careful not to make this a topic that women are a topic just for women. It is like women equality is a society topic, right? So what I am trying to do is make or hold men accountable for change. So I try, when we have discussion rounds at Initiative D21, I try to get a CIO of the huge companies, and I ask them, what are you doing for gender equality? And what are you doing to make the circumstances at your workplace inclusive? So please do not try to make them fit for women, but make them fit for all. Because women do not want, the extra piece of the cake. We just want equal circumstances and equal chances. So, and I think that's a topic on culture. So maybe those two ideas.
Right. Now. I mean, I'll go back to the publish, right? Where companies will need to publish their data. Some companies still don't publish their data. Do you think that, and I know this conversation might go overrun, do you really think that there should be specific laws? I know Germany is looking at that, where having women top positions, publishing, getting that data. Do you think this should be the norm for all companies, literally across every culture, every state, every country, that they need to publish their data for more transparency? Do you think that can actually happen in the future?
I think it would be, it would create pressure, right? If you're doing good, then the data will show you're doing good. So I don't really see why you should not do it. And it's not that hard, right? I mean, they have their HR data anyway, just get your Excel sheets and publish that number. So I think that would actually help, yes.
Okay, I mean, that's very quite interesting. Frederike Probert from Hamburg. Frederike, what do you think about what action we need to take for the benefit of companies?
First of all, I couldn't agree more of what we all said. We have to have transparency in data. We cannot hide data in closets on the drawer any further because the data is there. We have to convert it into action. So I'm happy to tell you that Mission Female is contributing a little part when it comes to data, because we will be publishing an international study on Monday for International Women's Day, but I'm happy to give you a little bit of a sneak preview here because we ran this study together with Munich Business School, and we interviewed female leaders across different countries, for instance, the US, Asia, Sweden, Netherlands, and so on. And we wanted to know what are the success factors, but also barriers or limiting factors for female careers. And I'm not saying too much, but we were evaluating 4 dimensions. So interpersonal, individual, organizational, and societal. And what came out in a nutshell really is across all the countries we've been studying, that it really comes back for women careers in order to be successful. It's based on the network you have. You have to have the right connections. You have to ask for what you want. You have to be very specific. But we also see across all countries that on a corporate and political level, there is so much room for improvement still. And I actually wondered about that because me being based in Germany, I thought we were always behind of everything again. And the US and Asia are so much further than everyone else. But it doesn't matter where you look at. It's really the corporate culture, an open, honest, transparent culture that is welcoming to everyone and that acknowledges performance is basically the key for diversity and inclusion overall.
I mean, every time I speak to entrepreneurs, I literally stress the fact that they have to build a network. Simply because, for example, if I am working on a project that is specifically on finance, in the last couple of years, I would have built a network that can meet that specific need, right? But I think that could also be a challenge in the Women Future conversation environment. Because when we talk about technologies, there are different sectors. They're so male dominated. And so how to get to build that network? What tips could you give anybody that is looking for a net to build that network? And we need the men, of course. The men are important in the conversation, no doubt. But I think it's also important to build a network where the proper term of women empowerment is used, right? So like, what tip could you give someone who's watching now, who's thinking, oh my God, where do I start to build a network so I'm included in the conversation?
Yeah, I totally agree. We have to include men, obviously, if you all want to be successful together. But what each and every individual woman can really do is to define their career goals very specifically. You have to know what you want, where you want to end up in the next 3, 5, and 10 years. And you have to identify what the steps are and who the people are you need for that. And that is one of the biggest challenges, especially for women at this point, is you have to be very concrete and be able to communicate to others what you want and what you need from them. And don't be afraid of that. So just, reach out to people and be specific and tell them, hey, I'm really looking forward to having the CEO job here. Can you help me with that? Because I know you know these people and you know them and you've worked with them before. Can you make an introduction, for instance? So have your very personal goal identified and ready, know your steps, and don't be afraid to ask people for help.
I'm not sure if I'm agreeing here.
I love this. Please take the floor. Please.
Well, I think that every person needs to kind of see where their own career is going. Sometimes your careers goes that, and we know that women have much more of these careers. And I actually think it's not on the women to get into that system and try to be like everybody else of the system. I rather actually think that it is the task of the companies to make sure that any kind of person can make a career without any invisible hurdles. And that also means that the whole networking stuff that is going on momentarily is heavily male coded. It's where males actually get along very well in order, you know, through the networks in order to make their career. But it's on the companies to change that culture. Because if, for example, a position opens up for a new project manager, often it's still that way in many companies, that this is given away, as we call it in Switzerland, under the hand. It's like they meet for a beer and that's where suddenly, oh, this is our new project manager. And I really, and this is what we tell our companies that we consult as well all the time, make these processes fully transparent and make these processes free of bias, because at the moment they are fully biased. They always make it very easy for the dominant group to, you know, to further their career, but not for the underrepresented group. And that's why I just think when I hear always this push to say women have to network, women have to know their career, I'd rather think, yes, they do. I mean, yes, you do have to know a little bit what you want to do in your life. But I think that the whole work actually now has to come from companies to make these processes easy for everyone.
I mean, this is why we need to have more of these conversations, because we have one side of opinion, which is definitely highly respected and appreciated. But I always appreciate critical feedback. And this is the only way that we can learn. Okay, so we think in this way, there is actually another way of including the male dominance in the network. Before we finish, I know we have 2-3 minutes going. And I sent this to all the speakers on the acronym HARS. This is just a little, you can just say one word, actually, not a letter, one word to represent what you think of the future is. Normally a female is either she, her. I concluded hers because we are all in it together. So hers is like all the female. I will give you an example. For H, I would say help. It is okay for a woman to ask for help. So the first one I would ask actually Frederike. Frederike, could you take on the letter H?
Ooh, H. Yeah, so heterogeneous teams is super important. It's at the end of the day, it's about working together successfully as men and women, and then also with all the different subcategories, so to say, right? So the more diverse, the more colorful the business world is, the better decisions you can make, the better the economic results will be. And that should be the goal for everyone, really. And it starts with also including women, obviously, on decision-making levels.
Awesome. Lena-Sophie, what do you think of E? What would E represent for a female in the future?
I think what we need, E, is establish a database and
awesome.
make it transparent. Also, for example, where unpaid work is being done by women. We don't really have data on that, you know, so yes, we need that.
That happens a lot in Africa, but that's for another day. Nadia, what do you think of R?
Yes, for me, R would be resilience. And I just looked at the dictionary again. Resilience is the act of rebounding. And my recommendation here does not go out again to the women, but to the companies. They have to be resilient when it comes to diversity. They have to try over and over and over again. It's about a culture change, and culture change doesn't work with one little measure, or so you have to try it over years and years, and then finally you'll get to it. So be resilient in your diversity endeavor.
Awesome. 1 minute more. Isabelle, S.
S. I wrote strengthen the collective voices of women and men championing in the case of equality at the workplace. Do everything you can so that everyone who has good intentions on this case is actually heard. And then, of course, I thought I was going to get the R, but of course, review your workplace on equality check, which is to yours, Lena, establish a database. That is exactly what we want to do. So
awesome.
I can on that.
Thank you so much to my speakers. I wish this was like a 2-hour, because I've written down all the notes here, which I'll definitely, read through, because I've learned a lot. Thank you so much to to Lisa Marie and the organizers for this wonderful event. I hope to meet everybody soon in the future. I hope we can have more of such events in the future. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.